Mecpow! Now what we have here is the Mecpow 8-in-1 heat press. This right here, if you're getting into crafting or do a lot of stuff at home and you don't need a big, huge heat press, but you want to do a lot of different things from sublimation, DTF, cups, hats. Let's get into this and I can show you what all this is all about. Now this package, it's all nicely boxed up. They sent us a few sublimation samples right there. We'll have a few parts we'll have to put together. But like I said, this is an 8-in-1 unit, which means we're able to do at least 8 different items, or 8 different types of heat pressing, should I say. Got us a sample shirt. This thing is well packaged. That right there is going to be our mug press, cup press. So when you want to do them sublimated tumblers, which is a great seller for my shop. And as you see, we got a lot going on here. Let me get this big heavy thing out of here and I'll be right back with you. Now as far as this, we got little feet to screw on. No, I'm not reading any instructions. I'm just unpacking this. I've used a lot of heat presses in my day and I know pretty much how they go together. This right here, like I said, these are adjustable legs, so if your surface is not level, you are able to level it with whatever countertop, workstation, whatever you have, to make sure this is level and not wobbling. And there we have the heart of our heat press. Now as far as putting together, the only thing we got left to do, we got this cable to connect, this one to connect depending on what we're running. So if we wanted to connect something else to this, we have our other cables. Now as we got this all laid out, there's a lot going on here. Like I said, this unit is capable of doing quite a bit. So to start things off over here, we have right here our 7-ounce mug, 12-ounce mug, and then this is 17-ounce, and I have the 20-ounce off in here. So that's 4 different mugs, tumblers, depending on what you're using on here. And if you know, these things can get expensive if you have dedicated one for each one. Luckily, like I said, these are all interchangeable and they're fairly easy to change out. So that one slides out. You can slide your new one in there. Yeah. Nothing to get set up to have it ready to run, whatever. And all you're going to end up doing is taking this cord and screw it in and ride off over here onto the main unit, which will make things go real quick and easy. Of course, like I said, this right here is the main unit. It is a swing away, which if you haven't messed with heat presses much, I like swing aways a lot better than clamshells. Clamshells, if you're trying to do something off in there, you tend to burn your hands a lot. And like I said, the main unit I used for a little while, it was a clamshell and I was constantly burning the top of my hands, trying to get my shirts or something all the way off in there. And you just don't want to do that because, heck, like I said, you're burning yourself. This right here, with it able to swing away, easy to load a shirt on there. And like I said, we have a decent sized working area right here. So like I said, whatever you're trying to heat press, like I said, and you can do more than just shirts on here. Like I said, there's tons of items you can sublimate, whether it's phone cases, they got little metal plaques. There's a lot of different things you can get to sublimate on. Sublimation is taking over a lot of stuff, as well as your direct to film or the new UV direct to film, which is amazing on some of the stuff you can put labels on. But that's a whole another ball game right there. As we keep moving forward, we have more of the plate press mats. So like I said, this stuff right here, whenever you're pressing stuff, you'll find more and more uses for that. And we have our pad unit. I will go over on how to install this here later on in the video. It is a little bit more work than having a dedicated hat press, but if you're limited on space, this is going to work out great because like I said, it's using this same frame, same unit. All it is 2 screws to remove stuff, but I'll show you how that's done here later on in the video. Also, if you're doing a lot of cups, make sure to have yourself some heat gloves, because these cups, or anytime you're messing with the heat press, stuff gets hot. You're talking, on average, most things are going to be around 320 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that will burn you extremely quick. Good heat safe gloves can save your hands. I can't keep gloves long because I run a screen printing shop in the process, and I get ink all over my gloves whenever I come across them for some reason, because I keep using gloves for stuff it shouldn't be used for, or I grab the wrong pair of gloves just because I need gloves right then and there. So, but heat gloves, get you a good pair. These did come with the unit. So now the main part of our heat press, we got several things to look at. So right here, we got our foams, depending on what we are wanting on the heat press pad. I generally like this right here. I will use this on certain things. This has a lot more give. So if you're running like, say, buttons or something like that, and you need a little bit more give, this right here is better. And you can also go into heat press pillows. This right here is just what I prefer. And a lot of times I will get Teflon sheets or parchment paper to run with this. Just something to think about, like I said, because you don't want to get DTF ink or any type of screen print ink, depending on what you're running, on top of your platen. So Teflon sheet parchment paper is good insurance to make sure you're not messing either the top or the bottom pad up, because once it's on there, it is extremely difficult to get off. Ask me, I know how. I might have done that multiple times. I think I've been in this industry for right at 20 years, if not longer than that, actually doing stuff like this. But something to think about, keep your mind on, because stuff can happen. Now, the heat press itself, as you see, like I said, we drop this down, it's still loose. We come over here, we got this knob in the back, which we are able to adjust our pressure. Pressure is key whenever you're going to heat press something. And different things require different amounts of pressure. Where your DTF is going to require one thing, sublimation is going to require something else. This shirt might require one thing, or if you're running a hoodie where it's a lot thicker, you're going to have to raise this up as well. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing heat press stuff, because like I said, your pressure is a big factor on the results of your outcome. Okay, so with our unit, it's over here warming up. So it does come in Celsius. To change this, you'll hold set for 5 seconds, roughly, and then you'll be able to use these arrows to change it to Fahrenheit if you want to use Fahrenheit. And like I said, then that's all you can hit set. You'll change your temperature on the first one, and then your time settings the second time you hit it. And now, like, we're back into the standard work screen. So like I said, we're gonna let this keep warming up. We're at 200 degrees right now. We're gonna let this get up to 340-ish, and we're gonna do some pressing. Now to start things off, what I have on here is a DTF transfer from my Procolored DTF. Like I said, DTF is huge right now. Like I said, more and more people are going to it. And like I said, it is something that you're going to see a lot more over the next few years because it is becoming cheaper and better price. And also they're getting a lot better quality out there. Like I said, I use Procolored. Like I said, that is the printer I have. Like I said, if you want to check them out, buy one. I do have links in the description for that, as well as links to this right here as well. So this heat press, like I said, these are affiliate links. They do help me out. Like I said, this is what covers most of the stuff in this shop for me to make these videos. So if you want to buy one of these, definitely will help me out. But on to the next thing. So we got this all set out where we want it. Like I said, we're going to heat press a shirt for my mom. Don't forget your parchment paper. Swing this back around. And as you see, I need to adjust my pressure a little bit more. And adjusting your pressure is something you will fine-tune the more you use this. A little bit more. Now once it's going on there, it's going to go roughly 20 seconds if I set it in work mode. There we go. Make sure everything's still good. Okay. So we'll let it do its thing. Like I said, I got it set for roughly 20 seconds. Like I said, that is all determined by Procolored and the material we use with their adhesive. So the amount of pressure, amount of time, that all depends on them. So once it's ready, it beeps. And now we just let it sit here and cool off for a second, and then we'll be able to pull our DTF film off. So it's been a few seconds. All we gotta do now, pull that off. We'll put our paper back on there, and this is to heat seal this, because anytime you pull something off, it's recommended in case something, say one of these edges or something lifted a little bit. That way we're on the safe side and we know it's not going to lift up. It just takes a few more seconds. We don't have to have it do its full 20 seconds on there. Once we do that, and there we have the front done. Now we're going to load up the back and do the exact same thing. Now this back is going to be a little tricky because it is the size of what we can do for the maximum of this. Let me get some scissors. I need to do some trimming back here. Be right back. So like I said, this is the max this can do. So my edges are right there at it. So I'm probably actually going to end up pressing this twice on here because this right here is a full, it's actually a hair bigger than what this press can do. But we'll do our same thing. Come over here, let it do its 20-second press, and just like that, we have this custom Texas Laser Works shirt that I made for my mom. Now, this next thing we're going to do, we have this shirt. Now, I took this other piece of foam that came through here because we were going to do sublimation on there. Now, if you don't know what sublimation is actually, you print it through a printer. Like I said, it has special type of ink on the paper. And so once it hits a certain temperature, it will actually go and infuse with polyester or several other chemicals or something you can apply. But for t-shirts, you generally want to use 100% polyester, and it will make this print come through here real nice and crisp and clean. Like I said, you generally want to use 100% polyester to get the best outcome. Now, saying that, with it turning to a gas, we want something to come through where it's not going to penetrate into the back of the shirt. Now, with sublimation, you do want to use white shirts, preferably, because like I said, there is no white in the print. So we're going to take this print right here, and so even though it looks white on there, White will not transfer to your dark colors. Just whatever is printed on here becomes a part of the shirt. So we're going to get this set on here. One, test my height and pressure. Make sure I like that. Yeah. And then we're going to come through and get this placed exactly where we want it. Now with this, you are going to want to use some sort of heat tape. Now that right there is to keep this in place because it can move on you really easy. And I've had that happen multiple times and I've ended up wasting a shirt. So just use a little bit of tape to help hold your image into place. Doesn't take much, but as you saw that paper moved really easy just by setting that tape on there. We'll get this placed. Right there. And now this is going to take 60 to 45 seconds depending on the paper. Get in work mode. Still trying to learn that. I want to get it set in work mode. Keep hitting the wrong thing. There we go. Now we're going to let it do its thing. Like I said, this right here, sublimation is something that you'll see a lot on one-off shirts, especially toddler stuff, because it makes it so simple and easy. And I like using sublimation, and I don't use a whole lot on shirts, but here in a few minutes, I'll show you what I use it on a lot of stuff. Now with this, it doesn't take much. Like I said, we did this nice little press. We'll come over here. And actually, I probably should have a piece of parchment paper on here just to make sure it didn't come up through that. And there we have it. Nice little image from Mecpow. That came through great. And like I said, this hand feel of this is amazing. You cannot beat the hand feel of sublimation. And to mention, it's on polyester shirts already, so it's extremely soft as it is. And this shirt is ready to wear. Like I said, there is no hand feel because, like I said, that ink turned into a gas and now it is embedded into this shirt, so it's not going to wash out. Like I said, it is stuck to this shirt forever. Where, say, your DTF, if you undercure it or don't do something right, it can wash out. That's not going to happen with sublimation. So and like I said, the hand feel is the best hand feel you're going to get. You are not going to beat the hand feel of sublimation. Now, you heard me mention earlier, I have something else I like to sublimate on a lot. And that are these 20-ounce tall tumblers. These things right here are great sellers in our shop. I mean, good size. And they're so easy to customize. So we have this print right here, already trimmed up. So I got to go through, get this lined up, and tape it on here, and then heat press it. So we got this warming up right now. I got the correct size die in there. Now, as far as that goes, the only you got this adjustment right here, depending on what pressure you need it. It is real simple to hook up. So we undid the line right back here, going to this heat press, and connected this to it, and that's almost up to temp right now. I could feel that heat coming off there. Of course, it says do not touch, and you just watch me put my hand in there. So don't do that. We don't want you to burn your fingers. I'm gonna get this all taped up, and I'll be right back with you. Now, as you see, we have our wrap all around on our tumbler. Make sure to use tape. Tape is cheap compared to the cup, and you don't want this to move or slide loose, and just be safe with it. Now we're going to slide this off inside here, and I did check beforehand to make sure I like my pressure. Now, while this is doing this, like I said, this takes roughly about 60 seconds for one side. Now, there is a small gap right up here at the top. Most of the time, it will get it hot enough where you don't have to worry about it. But I do rotate my tumbler and I press it twice. That way I know I'm getting good coverage up there as well. Because I've had it happen before where it's a little loose and didn't look just right. It was passable, but I didn't want to give it to my customer. So I got to where I'll heat press it twice just to make sure, because this gap does not fully close. So that, you got to think, being on the press, and you can see that's not exactly perfectly round on there. So whenever you're doing that, make sure you rotate it, press it twice, good insurance. Well, let's do this thing and be right back with you. Now this next part is where you have to have your gloves on, because you gotta think, this is at 390 degrees right now as we're opening it. This thing is extremely hot. I can feel the heat coming through my gloves. But that nice white tumbler, if I just would have just waited a minute and for it to cool off to do it right. Is now all printed up. Now this tumbler press, cup press, does have multiple attachments for it, so you can change out to use on a variety of different things. And where you even use, because some tumblers, like I said, they're round and they curve out. Well, that's where you'll be able to use different ones on here to get multiple prints on that same tumbler. So something to think in mind. Like I said, this is pretty versatile as that goes. Now, whenever you're doing them, the ones that change sizing, say it starts off pretty circular and then all of a sudden just V's out. Them can be a little more tricky on getting stuff to line up. So take your time, but this right here, as long as you do it right, you'll have no issues and you can get some good results out of it. Like I said, I'm somewhat happy with this. Like I said, I do wish I would have played with my tensions a little bit more on there to get a little bit of a tighter press to get my blacks a little darker, but overall came out great. I know the customer's going to like it. Now on to the hat press. Now as we get ready to change this over to the hat press, you want to make sure this is fully cooled down, and then you'll need a big Phillips head screwdriver, because what we're going to do, we're going to take this top heating element off. So we'll loosen up these two Phillips head screws, and then slide it off just like that. That's going to get our top platen off. And now we have to remove our bottom. And that just slides off like that. Real simple and easy. Now for the hat part, same thing. We'll slide that on, move this up. So you want to make sure to raise that up, come through, and all we got to do is tighten these two Phillips head screws down. Make sure it's all the way back into place, because you don't want to drop or be out of alignment whenever you're going to press your hat. And I need a smaller screwdriver for this, because this one took a size 1 screwdriver. I need a 2 for this. So I'm going to get that all tightened down and be right back with you. Now once we have it all tightened up here, we got to come back here, and there's this little set screw. Let me unscrew it for you. Back here at the back, that we'll want to tighten this down, because we don't want this to swing out of the way. It can, I mean, but it just makes it easier for your alignment whenever you're going to press the hat. So something to keep in mind, you might have to tighten that. Some people will like it loose, some people won't. I'd rather it tight to know it's pressing that exact same spot every time I'm running one of these hats. So as we're getting this hat press ready, I have my Lone Star adhesive leatherette on here, and I'm going to tape this on where I'm wanting it placed on the hat. So that way whenever we come over to the press, it's all lined up, and all we got to do is press it for the 20 seconds that it's required. Now, when you're doing stuff like this, make sure you're constantly testing to make sure everything comes out the exact way you need it to, because different heat presses will read different temperatures. Don't always rely on the temperature it's showing on there. That doesn't always mean it is correct. So I do have a temp gun that I will, a laser temp gun, I will check to make sure it's close to what I'm wanting. And sometimes these can be anywhere from 2 to 3 degrees off to 30 and 40. I've had some cheap machines before over the years, and it's saying it's reading 360 degrees. I hit that laser temp light on there, and we're at 280. So make sure to test and make sure everything is adhering like it should, because you don't want premature failure of your patch on your hat or the press on your shirt, whatever you are messing with. Constantly check to make sure you are at the temperature you need it to be at. Now we have our hat pressing on here. This is a little more difficult than your dedicated hat press, because some of this stuff lines up. It's a little harder to get the hat on there exactly how you want to get it. You'll run into some issues on some of your trucker hats with that solid front. Unstructured hats, you'll have no issues with on there, because like I said, you can manipulate it fairly easy to get the outcome you want. But that's something to think about with this. Like I said, structured hats are a little chore. We'll get the job done, yes, but you're going to be spending a little bit more time on this than what you would as just a standard hat press. But once we have that on there, leatherette's nice and adhered to the hat. We have no funny wrinkles on the hat, which can be a problem on some of your real cheap hat presses, where the hat will want to crease once you have it on there. Like I said, especially being an unstructured hat, you shouldn't have any issues on that. Some of the structured hats, because each one's different. Where you come to this curvature right here, it varies a lot between hat and hat, and even some of the hats in the same lineup. Say you got 12 of these 112s are just perfect, and you got this one over here where it's trying to do a little funny over the seam. That's something expected. That's just something part of it. So keep that in mind. Like I said, it will run structured hats. It'll be a little bit more difficult, but unstructured hats, perfect for something like that. As you said, we got that nice Sunbelt logo on this hat, and I always like that Lone Star adhesive material. Like I said, it's primary what we use on our hats in here. Let's do one more project. So for this last job we have, I am taking the skull that we did the DTF on that first shirt, and we're actually going to DTF a hat. Like I said, DTF is taking over the industry right now. You're seeing more and more DTF on the market, and you're starting to see more and more custom hats, whether they're using DTF or patches or anything like that. Especially these hat bars that are popping up all over the place. And a lot of them patches, they're putting DTF on these patches, heat pressing them on the hats. We're doing an oversized press on here, because they're putting these patches all over on some of these hats at hat bars. So this is going to take 2 presses on here due to the fact the size of this, and we want to make sure everything's covered, because this is bigger than what this can do. But as long as everything's lined up good, you're going to have no issues with it. So we're going to get this on here and get it pressed down and be right back with you. Now, I did run into a little issue. We lost one of the bolts over there. I didn't have it pressed well enough. I didn't realize it. But everything else came out great. Like I said, that is a 3-inch print on the front of a hat. That is a huge print. Your standard embroidery right here, that's 2.2 inches tall. So another 3/4 of an inch tall. Like I said, we're going up off in this crown. And this right here, that was my fault. There's a little crease off in the hat. I didn't realize it was there. And so when I pressed it, it messed up the paper. That's me trying to load the hat. Mistakes happen. That's part of the industry. That's part of the game. So I mean, not much you can do about that. But overall, now this Mecpow 8-in-1 heat press is a great beginner into the craft heat pressing. Whether you're doing your tumblers, hats, shirts, and a variety of other stuff. There's tons of sublimation blanks out there on the market, but this has no issue on running whatever. Because like I said, easy adjustability. We got tons of different attachments for different size cups. There's even more adjustment on the machine itself to make it even easier. Now, if you're one of these heat presses, like I said, I do have an affiliate link. It's down there with Amazon. And if you use the code 20JeffDoes, right there, you'll get an extra 20% off of this. And it makes it even cheaper. Like I said, this right here is a great little bundle for someone getting into this hobby, or even if you're trying to do small scale business, you're gonna have no issues with this. Like I said, this was temping out almost to spec. Like I said, they're showing 2 to 3 degrees difference. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it was low, but that's expected on any heat press. Even some of the more expensive Hottronics, I still ran into that same issue. Or even my big high-dollar commercial one back there, it's the same way. No matter what, constantly check these. That's only a few small issues. Like I said, hat press is a little harder to use, but once you get used to it, it's like any other thing you mess with. The more you use it, the easier it gets, easier and better the outcome you have. So keep that in mind. And if you're one-to-one, pick it up down below. Helps me out, helps the channel out. And hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Y'all take it easy.